Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to our CMAX friends from around the globe. My name is Jay Shannon, Director of Genetic Programs and Solutions, and welcome to the April 2021 Sire Summary webinar. It's been a busy and incredible week for CMAX and for genetic enthusiasts everywhere. We are very excited to share with you the proof news coming from CMAX. And I am pleased to be joined today by Mr. Mike West, Genetic Development Representative, and Mr. Jacob Leon, Jersey Program Lead, to share with us some great news about our Sire lineup. If you have a question, and Mike, if you could switch the slide, if you have a question, we encourage you to type it into the question box, which is located in the sidebar panel, and we will try to address all of the questions that we can in the closing of our session. This webinar will be recorded and distributed, and a PDF of the presentation can be downloaded from the sidebar panel as well under the handouts. Okay, Mike. As presented in the webinar last week, there's a lot of changes that occurred with the Canadian proofs, and I'm just going to highlight them and a little bit of the parts. But the biggest two changes were the adjusted composites for type and the new feed efficiency proofs in Canada. So we'll start with the new feed efficiency proofs. Feed efficiency in Canada is based on three traits that were the feed intake and observations done in research trials in first lactation. And these three traits were the energy input of dry matter intake and two traits of energy output, metabolic body weight and energy corrected milk. And actually this multi-trait model wasn't just those three traits, it actually became 6 traits because they defined those 3 traits into, or they segmented them into 2 time periods. Those observations for animals in up to 60 days in milk, and then those observations when it was 60 days, after 60 days in milk. The feed intake, this feed efficiency model in Canada actually doesn't have just Canadian data. It includes data from 5 other countries, Canada and primarily Canada and the United States, but also 3 other countries included in their feed efficiency data. The observation in Canada, the proof in Canada for feed efficiency is biological feed efficiency. So it's the animal's efficiency to turn energy into, to turn feed into energy and meet her requirements. And so what we're looking at is, well, what is the expected feed intake for the animal to meet her body maintenance requirements and her production requirements? And then actually how much feed did she require to do so. So if she took less feed to meet those requirements, then she would be more feed efficient in doing so. So the trade in Canada is independent of body and production, and looking at the conversion, the biological conversion of feed. An important part of this evaluation, because one of the concerns about making an animal more feed efficient is potentially that you'll make an animal that could be prone to more health issues or fertility issues, in that if she's so bared to the minimal feed, then maybe that becomes a trait of concern in doing so. So in Canada, they use the days in milk after 60 days is the feed efficiency trait we're looking for. And the idea is it's intended to not reduce feed intake in early lactation when she needs the feed and not enter into negative energy balance in these type of things. Just to share again some correlations, and the most important thing is if there's a correlation is less than 10%, they're considered to be relatively incidental. In other words, not different than 0 really. But there is some positive correlations above 10%, and the positive thing is traits we've been selecting for in terms of fat and protein yield, our overall composite indexes, or our overall merit indexes, and it's interesting that memory system and conformation do at least get over that 10% threshold, One of the things that is also noteworthy, metabolic disease resistant, that early lactation metabolic disease it would be a trait that we'd want to monitor and look at. And the positive correlation of 6% tells us that the way of looking at this observation after 60 days in milk seems to be handling the fact of not creating more early lactation issues for the animals. If we look at the value of feed efficiency proofs, what it does have is 1 point of feed efficiency. It is expressed on an RBV scale. 1 point of feed efficiency is equal to a daily feed intake decrease of 0.05 kilograms. Seems small, but when you put that, if a 5-point increase in feed efficiency would have an expected decrease of 0.24 kilograms per day. If you put that on the 61 to 305 day part of the lactation curve, it is equivalent to 60 kilograms of feed saved, or a reduction in feed intake of about 1%. So if we can make some genetic gains to reduce feed intake, the biggest cost in terms of the dairy, by 1%. And the great thing about feed efficiency, it's like selection for production or any other trait, it's additive. So if we can make those kind of gains year upon year, then we can be making more profit on the farm through this kind of selection, and not sacrificing production in any way. We can gain production and work to reduce feed. Distribution of proofs. This was pre-proof, but it does tell us that, you know, the even though it's an RBV that's centered around 100 and expected to have a standard deviation of plus minus 15 from 100, so 85 to 115, what we seen pre-proof and what we've seen after when we look at our proofs is it's a much tighter scale. I have talked to Lactanet about it, and they're looking behind it to understand, because they agree the scale is pretty tight in terms of the bulls. So you see on the left is the proven bulls, and these are the top 100 LPI, so it's just used as a sample. But you know, you have that height at 110 kind of, and to 95 in terms of the range. Reliability is a little lower than what we normally expect, but decent reliability is 51% for a proven bull, 43 for a genomic bull, and you can see the genomic bulls are kind of even tighter, plus minus 5 almost in terms of that genomic bull range on feed efficiency. When we look at CMAX bulls, so what I pulled was these are proven CMAX bulls that are active, marketed, and just looked at some of the top feed efficiency. The highest feed efficiency bull that in CMAX's group is actually 113. It was C-Sweet, but we don't either have semen or market the bull particularly now. But what you can see, but there's a 113, there was a couple 111s. It generally is heights at about 110. So that 109, 110 is the top of the shelf for feed efficiency as is expressed right now. And you can see the one great thing to also take note is, can you select for feed efficiency and select for top merit bulls? Well, certainly. IMAX is at the top, and you're going to see on the next list how IMAX really comes through in terms of his sons. But bulls like Yamaska and Lighthouse, Alligator, bulls that Mike's going to talk about, 18 Granite, Perseus, Fuel, Randall, Adorable, Adagio P. There's lots of high merit bulls that give you feed efficiency and give you all the genetics you're looking for. LPI average of this group 3217, ranging from 3,000 to 3578. 9 of the 20 bulls are immunity plus. So that's kind of interesting in terms of the best of the feed efficiency. You know, and it's something we'll look into and further. But it's a nice indication that you can get immunity plus with this kind of group too. 6 of the 20 bulls. When I look at the genetics here, as much as you're going to see IMAX, there's some Bombero influence, a little bit of McCutcheon and King Boy. But one thing you should note is the prefixes that go with this group. 6 of the 20 bulls are Stanton bulls, 4 are West Coast, and 4 are Progenesis. So those 3 prefixes alone make up 14 of these bulls. And these are, big genetic programs, hard, focus selection, and probably, what it shows, the kind of genetics they've been selecting for are feed efficiency type of genetics. Go ahead, Mike. In the genomics bulls, you can see the highest genomic bull, that is Genomax bull with semen, is 110. One thing you're going to notice when you look at it is the dominance of the bull IMAX. 10 of the top 20 Genomax bulls for feed efficiency are either have IMAX as the sire or IMAX as the maternal grandsire, and obviously IMAX's sire spring seems to do well, and you see some of the influence coming through that line. 7 of the top 10 are Progenesis bulls. That's a really positive sign for that the Progenesis genetics and the genetics that are selecting are really that profitable, efficient kind of genetics. 4 of the 20 are West Coast in terms of these bulls. And again, some really nice group of bulls in this group that offer different genetics to our clients. LPI average in this group 33-39, ranging from 30-64 to 37-74 in these genomic bulls, but great opportunities with feed efficiency to add that as a component of what you're selecting for in your genetics. Okay. So the other change that I want to highlight again is the switch to composites for type. We've gone from what we're doing is we're building, instead of taking the classifier scores for mammary system, feet, legs, dairy strength, and rump and overall score, we're instead building them in the genetics. So the proofs for the descriptive traits are used to calculate mammary system, and not just a linear version of those, but what is if there's intermediate optimum traits, then it will find the intermediate optimums, weight the traits to find the maximum prediction for each of the scorecards derived from the linears. And go ahead, Mike. And and then it takes the composite calculation of proofs for each of the scorecards and builds a composite for overall confirmation. Okay. The adjusted composites. So besides the idea of building composites, there was some relationships that stature had a relationship with overall memory system, so that you couldn't select for memory system without indirectly, inherently selecting a little bit for stature. And obviously the breed has gotten in many ways tall enough for many people. And so we want to be able to improve the udder without indirectly selecting for others. So the idea of adjusting the composite so it's neutral for stature, so that you can select for memory system without having that change of stature. The other part is the concern for traits that have become a little bit of a problem in the breed, and one of those is teat length. So they made an adjustment to the memory system so that memory system had a positive response for teat length. In other words, you select for memory system, you're tending to select for a little longer teats. Go ahead, Mike. And then feet and legs composite, the same adjustment to be neutral for stature, and then an adjustment to be neutral for rear leg side view. Again, the tendency of the breed becoming a little straight legged, and then trying to make sure that selection for feet and legs did not continue to further induce that problem in the breed was the purpose. The nice part is the proof correlations, and I just list at the top the proof correlations with stature for mammary system, and you can see close to 20%. The red is the Holstein breed, the blue is the Jersey, and the green is Ayrshire. And then the relationship of mammary system and teat length, though it's small to the negative, the feeling was there was still, the teats had become too small almost across the board, too short across the board. And so to some degree, even this small negative was seen as something that we should try to correct. And going across there, you can see the feet and leg relationship close to 20% with stature, meaning that if you select for feet and legs, you're going to get more stature. This, the cause of this typically is that there's a little bit of a within the system that bigger animals get kind of forgiven for maybe or scored in a certain way where their feet and legs is a little higher than maybe they would, and the stature has a positive influence there. Rear leg side view and feet and legs. You can see minus 0.2 for the Holstein breed. You can see minus 0.5 for the Jersey breed. So relationships that if you select for those traits, we're going to further the problems on those traits. And after composites, what you can see below is what's the correlation between the composite for the adjusted composite for mammary system and the linear traits. And I love seeing 4 attachment at the top of that list in its relationship with mammary. I think the udder really begins in that spot. The relationship in terms of this looks, to me, really, really strong. What you do see is teat length now has a correlation of 0.19. So the effect that was put in place tends to be that if you select for mammary system, you're tending to select for longer teats overall. And the relationship with stature is 3% correlation. You might say, well, shouldn't that have ended up 0? And I think what it is the adjustment for stature, but then the adjustment to make a positive relation with teat length. And there's actually a relationship between stature and teat length a little bit, and it does bring a little positive to stature. You can see on the right the rear leg rear view and locomotion, again, beautiful that they sit at the top of the feet and leg chart. And you can see almost 0 with rear leg side view and stature, meaning that they're neutralized, that it's not going to straighten the legs or make the animals taller by selecting for feet and legs. Go ahead. And we have those listed for dairy strength. These aren't adjusted. These are just the composites that came through and the correlations that then result, and rump. Below that, you see the conformation correlation between conformation and the scorecard composites. And if you took those correlations and did your proper mathematics to end up with what would be the underlying weighting, they're very much aligned about a 40, I think about a 45% weighting in mammary, very much aligned to what would be inherent in the score ideals that are done in the field, but very representative and good correlations on overall conformation. Go ahead, Mike. Top proven bulls, and these are, I have the CMEX ones highlighted in red. On your left is the December top LPI bulls. So these are the top LPI bulls, top 15 LPI bulls in Canada in December, and the CMEX ones in red. And then on your right is the top LPI bulls in Canada for April. And of course we have their confirmation listed beside. So we're looking at the highest LPI bulls here, the top 15 highest LPI bulls. We're going to see what Mike's going to show, the gain in fuel, Alligator, and then the new bull Montfort in terms of their achievements in the top of the list at 2, 3, and 4, and then CMEX with 6 of the top 10 LPI bulls that Mike will describe and talk about. But one thing we should notice here is there's a scaling part to the type. So you can see bulls that were plus 17 before or plus 15. 11 of the top 15 bulls in December had plus 10 or higher. That number, it's just 10 of the top 15 that are plus 8 or higher, and relatively, they're a similar or same representation of the bulls. So it's not like there's not a lot of change. It's not like the bulls now flip here. What we're talking about is a rescaling in the type that really, as far as the quantity goes, again, a similar number is 8 plus. There's only 7 bulls that are double digit and higher in April. So we have this rescaling of type, especially on the top end under the composite way. Go ahead, Mike. And if we look at the top proven type bulls, and this is my last list because I don't want to cover too much in bulls because Mike and Jacob will take care of that. But the top type ones, formerly plus 19 was at the top of the list. And you can see Sidekick actually managed to get through composites and the adjustments, and obviously the benefits he has, or underlyingly his daughters were actually increasing in type as well. But he ends up still at plus 19. But then you see a big, huge gap. There's no bulls at 18, 17, 16. The number 2 bull in the breed is there's 3 of them that are tied at plus 15, including our bull Alligator and Atmos. Bomba then at 14, and you can see the top of the type list as it goes. But the most important thing we should note is the top 15 type bulls in December averaged 15.5 on their confirmation proof, and the top 15 type bulls in April averaged 13.8. So whichever way you want to look at it, that's somewhere between, well, that's 1.7 difference. So obviously somewhere in the neighborhood of a scaling of 2 points at the top end is what is so the population within itself, as we build linears and build out, and it takes more to get to the top, has pushed a scale and pushed the scaling in on these bulls. Go ahead, Mike. And this is my last slide, and it just, this is from the Lactanet website, but percentile ranking in December of the top 1% is plus 12, in April it's plus 11. In the top 2 percentile is, instead of plus 11, in April it's plus 10. And then you can see for 97%, and instead of plus 10, it's plus 9. So you can see that it's going to be across the board at the top of the type side. In terms of the bulls haven't changed, there's obviously been a base change, but still typically the proofs still extend out to these reaches. So what we're talking about is, under composites, a little bit of a squeeze on the overall. So Mike, it's like 50 is the old 40. I used to say 40 is the old 30, but now I'm saying 50 is the old 40 is a plus 8 or a plus 9 is really the new 10, the new plus 10 in our industry. So with that, I just wanted to highlight the changes once again, and then as we've seen them in the proofs, how they came out. But now I'm going to hand over to Mike to talk about the Holstein highlights.
Thanks, Jay. Certainly one of the bigger proof rounds we've had across the board, when you talk about all those changes that are all positive for the breed and great things for our customers around the world that I think are making bulls and genetics moving in the right way, and answering the call of what many of you have asked for. I'm going to go through some Holstein highlights, and then I'll pass it over to Jacob to do jerseys. I'm going to bounce around from Proven and LPI and TPI, and just touch on some of the bulls that I think are keys to what that you want to make sure you don't miss. But one of the things I really like talking about in these webinars is our global success around the world. And I've put up a bunch of different stats or bullet points from around the world in our different countries, and there's still numbers filtering in over the week, over the days, of bulls that have done great. We see the CMEX program, as we've tried to develop bulls that fit domestic markets in other countries, as well as our North American indexes, and we've seen them as a result climb those lists. So when you see bulls that we've already talked about, like Malari Fuel, that's high LPI and high TPI, proven sires in the UK excelling in type, like Genebec Attico, West Coast Yamaska at the number 2 proven PLI sire in the UK, and then bulls like Progenesis Mahomes, who's high in Germany, he's high in the UK. He's the number 4 genomic PLI bull in the UK, and he ranks extremely high on the RZG at number 2 as well for genomic sires. We have 8 bulls in the top 50 TPI list. Number 1 and number 4 proven type sires in Germany with Sidekick and Legend Maker Victor that do very well in the Canadian system as well. So great successes around the globe for us, and I think some great bulls and genetics that our sales staff and our customers can definitely take advantage of. Just to highlight some top LPI bulls, you see the the 9 bulls in the top 20, tremendous stats with the Malari Fuel Bull leading the charge there at number 2, followed by Alligator, Montfort, Gymnast, Seducer, Ardor, Aptitude, Randall, and Dockside. All bulls that have been big parts of our program as Genomax bulls, and now to come through as 9 of the top 20 proven LPI sires in Canada is a tremendous feat that we should all be very proud of as users and as a company. And I think great bulls there for us to build on. For the next generation, we always look to those high Genomax bulls. And in Canada, we're very proud of our success in the top ranking LPI sires for Genomax. We have the number 1, the number 3, the number 4, and the number 5 sire. The 3-star OH Ranger Red Bull is a bull that lives in Hungary. Came through this time as the number 1 Genomax sire or genomic sire at 3910 LPI. He has a really, really nice breakdown, good conformation, good production, good health traits, which gets him clearly above the competition. And he's red. So he's not only the number 1 bull in the Holstein breed, but he's also a red sire. And we look forward to seeing him available in the upcoming months as we look forward to getting his semen moved around the world. The Cookie Cutter Holy Smokes Bull, Monteverde, Zaid, very well-rounded bulls that have come from partner herds that we work with, our internal program of Progenesis, that will be big parts of our future programs to come. And then to look at the top proven TPI results, CMEX had a tremendous day in the top TPI listings. I think really one of the best days I think I can remember. 14 in the top 100 proven sires with the Progenesis Marius bull that pictured there, pictured as a yearling bull at that time, falls in at the number 4 proven position. Great to see Marius and Positive right there in the top 10. 2 bulls from our Progenesis program. It's the first time that we've had bulls, as bulls continue to get proven through the Progenesis program. This is the first time we've had a bull emerge into the top 10, and now we see 2 of them. So we're definitely starting to see the Progenesis influence come through in our top rankings, which is great to see in the proven side. Marius and Positive have a huge influence in the next generation as sires of sons and the dam of many of the donors that we're working with across the country. And then many great names as you look down the list there. The Matters bull that's been high for quite a while. Fuel emerges now high ranking in the TPI. Granite, who's been around for years now, was a popular genomic sire and holds down still in the top 50, is extremely impressive. Bulls like Tremendous, Montfort, Yamaska that has sold extremely well across the globe and particularly in parts of Europe. Seamer's Bones, the IMAX bull that Jay already talked about and his influence coming through in the Canadian indexes, as well as Eugenio that continues to do well, not only in North America, but we see him do very well in foreign indexes as well. Now I want to just talk about a few bulls. I'm not going to go through each trade individually. I just want to touch on some key points and answer any of the questions that you may have. But the first one I want to talk about is Malari Fuel. I think a very, very interesting bull. Excels on the LPI system at 35.78 in the number 2 spot. 27.73 is a proven sire in the TPI listing, sired by Duke from a King Boy from a Mogul. This is a bull that since he was released as a genomic sire has excelled in his popularity, has gained a lot of interest all around, and has never quit selling. This is a bull that's been selling every dose he makes since the day he was released, and it's because of what we saw on paper, and now we're seeing the results in the field with daughters like these. These are cows that are extremely hardworking. They're putting large volumes of milk into the tank, and they're doing it from the kind of phenotypic traits that our breeders and our owners of these cows are quite satisfied with. They've got great components, and then comes through with a solid type pattern. These are cows that are wide from end to end, wide in their pins, correct in their rump structure, wide in their chest. I think he's a big improvement on his foot and legs compared to what you'd maybe think coming from this pedigree from a Duke son. But then you also get the things that come through in this pedigree of the wide mammary systems, the correct teat placement, and the capacity to handle large volumes of milk. I think this is a really exceptional bull that should not be overlooked, and I'm sure he'll continue to gain a lot of interest. And then that Immunity Plus stamp beside his name, I think carries a lot of weight with this bull. And I'll talk more a little bit about Immunity Plus, but I still think this is one of the greatest things that comes with any CMEX bull that's available. West Coast Alcove, another bull that I think is going to get a lot more interest, a bull that's been very popular since he was first released as a genomic young bull, is now coming through with daughter proven results. He just missed an official LPI, but he ended up getting the MACE LPI, which is great to see. He's well above any of the rest of the LPI rankings. 38.13 on his MACE LPI would it makes him the #1 MACE LPI sire. 28.03 with a lower reliability type proof at this point, but we'll get a full proof in August. Having said that, I think these are numbers that we can believe in and rely in and expect great results from what we're seeing in the field in North America. What we see out of the alcoves is exactly what was predicted in his numbers. These are hard-working cows. They milk extremely well. Their components are fantastic. They're not only high levels of components, but they're great percentages with large volumes of milk. I think he puts together a pleasing type profile as well. His type numbers have come up compared to what his parent average was predicted. He came through the type changes quite well, which maybe worked in his favor. But these are cows with wide mammary systems. They're cows that get around very easily in their different environments, and they're cows with very wide and capacious mammary systems all the way through, with a good center support, good teat placement, and cows that I think are built to last a long time. We see some Alcove sons or bulls coming out in the genomic listing now with Alcove in their pedigree on the top or bottom side, and we see the benefit coming through in them from this great proven bull now. I think Alcove will be a very interesting sire for our users to take advantage of in the months to come. Legend Maker Victor, another very interesting type bull coming through with this full proof this round. Victor is a bull that has seen a lot of use across the globe. We've seen daughters here pictured in France, in Holland, and here in Canada in the 3 different pictures. This Kingpin son from a liquid gold, from a shottle, has a very unique pedigree. It's a pedigree that goes back that we're all very well familiar with in the Holstein breed. And so it's no surprise to see these results come out in this A2 sire. Victor is a bull that can add some style. He can add some high type profile at +13 as a proven bull. They're long framed, they're angular in their rib, they're highly mobile in the way they move on their feet and legs, and they're cows with great mammary systems, great quality in their mammary systems, great udder texture, and the attachments are very strong on both ends of the udder. I think this is a bull that can make that extra special one, and should make some cows that people are very, very excited to walk in and see in the morning. So I think a nice bull that diversifies our proven lineup, has a great pedigree and a great type profile to go with it. The next bull is the Progenesis positive bull that I wanted to talk about. Another Duke son from a Rubicon, from a numero uno, at 28.33 TPI, as I showed on that the slide earlier, comes through in the top 10 TPI. A bull that's been used extensively within our sire development programs, both on the top and bottom side of the pedigrees that we work with. And we couldn't be happier to see the results that we're seeing come through in his proven daughters now. I think one of the biggest questions that we ask about any of the genomic bulls is, what will their udders look like when these calves get turned into cows? And I've put up some great mammary systems for you to see in these pictures. I think for me, the best part about the positives that I've seen is his mammary system. Not only do they milk extremely well also and put a lot of components through those mammary systems, but they're high in their quality, they're silky udders. Their front teats I really admire them for the way they're placed, maybe a little short in their teats, and that's been on his linear since the day he was first genomic tested. But I think this is a bull that can do a lot of things right. He can add that dairy quality, puts the high numbers to them, and comes through at 28.33. I think a bull that will add a lot of stability and strength to our pedigrees that are being offered to you in the future generations, and a great proven bull to go back and consider using now. Another bull to come through with an exceptional proven result is the Progenesis Marius bull, a bull that we're very excited to see come through high as well, as this is a bull that's been extensively used again in our product development program at 2848 TPI, comes through in that high ranking of the TPI list, sired by Jedi, from a Bombero, from a Ransom. This is a pedigree that's been a big part of the Progenesis program for many years now. So to see this bull emerge at the 2848 high ranking TPI, 703 is a proven net merit sire. This is a bull that I think for the everyday commercial producer, productive, aggressive producer, this is a great bull to look at with good components, low somatic cell, and a solid type breakdown with memory system and PTAT scores to go along with that tremendous balance that sees him rank highly up into the TPI charts. Great health traits, low somatic cell, like I talked about, positive daughter pregnancy rate, and just an all-around really complete breakdown. And for me, again, what I like most about the Marius is their memory system. These are great udders, shallow, good teat placement, great quality, and extremely well attached. These will be udders that last for a really long time. And I look forward to seeing what this bull has to hold for the future. So some great proven results, but wanted to just talk quickly about a few different groupings of genomic sires. As you can see, those great proven bulls come through, and now we're offering genomic bulls that we hope and look forward to developing into the next level of proven results. Many of them the same pedigrees as the bulls I talked about above. But what I wanted to do is just go through different groups. I'm not going to talk about each one individually, but I wanted to put up some different groups of 10, starting with a high LPI focus on genomics. Here I put together a group of 10 bulls that average over 3,600 LPI, over 3,300 pro dollars, still over 1,100 kilos of milk. And as Jay said, that new 9 is the new 10. That +9 confirmation as an average for the group. A very, very well-rounded group. And you can pick out individuals of the high immunity plus bulls like Alma Mater, Ferraro, or Moliere. The polled bulls such as Speed Up, All Day, and Braden P, or high milk bulls like Lugnut, or fall back into the better confirmation bulls like Speed Up and Braden and Resolute that all fall into that double-digit or +9 category. So I think there's a great offering in our LPI genomic bulls, and you can put them together in groups or you can look at them as individuals. But I think when you want to look at a group of LPI sires, we've got a great offering to consider. As I stay on the LPI focused, I wanted to talk about some high confirmation bulls and appeal to that market, and show that after all these changes that have come through that Jay talked about in the confirmation changes, we still have a great group of high confirmation bulls for you to consider. But having said that, I think it's important that even though we go after high confirmation, we still have to have the milk, we still have to have the components and the health traits to make you profitable with that high level of confirmation bulls that you're looking for. And you see the bulls that excel in there, the different names, some of them that you've worked with. Some of them are bulls like Medalists that will be released soon and soon to come in the next couple of months. A group that averages over 3,100 LPI, almost 600 kilos of milk, and a group that averages 13.5 points on confirmation. I think a tremendous group to consider. And when you look through them, you know, you've got great cow families, new cow families of old and new, bulls like Collision and Medalist that have that complete pedigree that so many of us are looking for. Immunity plus bulls like Milano and Alongside, high components and percentage bulls like the Solar Power bull, or daughter proven results that are starting to come now like Crushable, that has his first daughters hitting the ground and getting classified and hitting the milking stream. And we're hearing great reports and loving the ones we see, and look forward to getting marketing material over the upcoming months for you to see. So a great group of confirmation bulls that is still there and will always be available through our lines. I apologize for not missing those slides. Now to move on to some Immunity Plus bulls. I think, as I mentioned earlier, the Immunity Plus is the greatest strength, one of the greatest strengths that CMEX has. As we look to high Immunity Plus bulls with great great TPI, great net merit, great LPI. It's a point of differentiation for our customers, our users, our sales network around the world. And we've got a great group, and I've highlighted some stats here of currently at CEMEX, we have 31 Immunity Plus sires over 2,800 GTPI. We have 30 Immunity Plus sires over the 680 net merit points, and 32 Immunity Plus sires over 3430 LPI. The Seamers Porsche Bull pictured here at 2951. A great cow family behind him has the Immunity Plus stamp. I think Immunity Plus is something we need to always consider when we think of CEMEX. And thinking of that, following along in the same format, we look at the different groups of bulls in the Immunity Plus sires. A group of 10 here, the Immunity Plus bulls that average over 2,900 TPI, bulls that average almost 800 points of net merit, bulls that are over 1,100 in production. Bulls, as we look at this group, bulls that excel, bulls like Porsche and Rebel that are high in milk, bulls like Volvo that are low in somatic cell. We have A2 and robot ready bulls like Vital Signs, Prius, and Paris Match. And of course, high net merit bulls that fit into here, like the Prologue bull for our net merit focused breeders. On a TPI focus, you see the Champion Red Bull that's pictured here. He will be released here very soon. This group, you see them average at just under the 2950 TPI with 770 net merit points, led by Champion Red at 2994 TPI. A very, very well-rounded group for that TPI level. But you can also find bulls in here that are high DPR, high daughter pregnancy rate of Overview and Mahomes. Bulls that are high in combined fat and protein like Brave and Banksy and ESPN, as well as the bulls that are over 2 points on PTAT like Lambo and the bull pictured in Champion Red to be released next month. And then to touch on some net merit sires, a group of bulls here that average over 800 net merit points, a group of bulls that average over 2,900 TPI points. You see very, very well-rounded bulls again in this group. Bulls that are A2 like Interstate, Rally, Moviola, Moonrise. High production bulls like Horoscope and Moonrise. And then solid udder traits and udder scores such as bulls like Interstate and Epoxy, with health trait bulls on fertility such as Phenomenon and Moviola. So my point of all of these slides is just to show that it's not just about the one number, it's not about TPI net merit, but all of these bulls have more to offer than just that one number, and you can look to our groups of sires to really excel your program and be complete and tick all the boxes that you're looking for in your genetic solutions. And with that, sorry that I missed updating those slides as we went along. If there's any questions as we go along and people want me to scroll back, I will. But at this point, I'll turn over to Jacob to go through some Jersey highlights for us.
Thank you, Mike. We definitely had a good Jersey proof round this last time, so happy to bring these highlights to everybody. We'll be covering some of the US results, some of the Canadian results, and some of the other kind of intriguing categories that we were very successful at this last time. Cheese merit has been a category that we've been pushing for, I'd say a good 1.5 to 2 years now to continue to improve our position and ranking within. And I think we've been very successful in that step thus far. The group of bulls featured here, I think there's 12 on this list, offer a wide variety of pedigrees to offer to make sure it's a diverse selection to meet a lot of different people's types of needs. On this list, there's actually only 2 sires that are out of the same sire, and they're actually full brothers as well. They're from Transilva's breeding program. They are TOG Latitude and TOG Deltoid. Latitude is 593 cheese merit, 62 fat, 40 protein, and he also deviates quite well for his components at 0.24 fat and 0.15 protein, and he's positive DPR. Another standout sire in this group would be Jeopardy. He's an early Dashiell son that is JH1 free. He's 106 combined fat and protein, positive percents, and 1 full point DPR. It's a very nice list of bulls to see here, and a couple other unique attributes within the group. You have Kusafari, who offers an extreme extreme JUI. You got Tenpenny that offers extreme production while maintaining a very elite JPI. So it does offer quite a few different categories for people to look at from time to time. So the question tends to be, if the emphasis is on cheese merit, how is CMAX doing across the board as compared to other organizations? And this last round, if we looked at the bulls that had NAEB codes assigned and were 14 months of age or older, therefore they have a good chance of either being released now or within the very near future, CMAX did quite well. We had 21 of the bulls that were 500 cheese merit or higher, and 7 of the bulls that were 550 cheese merit or higher. In both categories, that meant CMAX had 23% of those bulls. CMAX was #1 in both those categories for cheese merit. This will continue to be an area that we push hard for and move forward on, as a lot of the industry is trying to make the cheese for the next round of consumers. With a cow being smaller and more efficient, this is a great way for her to go. Polled's been a topic that's been surfacing and growing with time. It seems like it tends to come in waves, comes back stronger each time, and I do wonder if it's potentially here to stay for a potential mainstream product moving further down the road. CMAX partnered with Pine Tree in Ohio and with the American Jersey Cattle Association. I believe it was 2018 or 2019's All-American sale. To syndicate Popcorn PP. So we're proud to finally announce that Popcorn PP is available for commercial use. He's in conventional now, and we're continuously monitoring him for hopeful sex product in the near future. He is an Immunity Plus sire as well. #1 homozygous polled bull at 109 GJPI. He's 8.4 JUI, 18 fat, 12 protein, positive percents, 2.5 DPR, and 2.73 somatic cell. So simply put, he's the bull that's going to make cows that milk. They're going to breed back. They're going to have low somatic cells, and they're guaranteed to be polled. And we also have a new bull for the Tambark, Avon Lee Chocolate Chip. He's a elite show type sire, which is he is a VIP son, so a bull that a lot of people recognize for his daughters in multiple continents winning. Out of Avon Lee Chocolate Chip. She is excellent 96-2E, and she was the honorable mention senior champion at the 2018 World Dairy Expo. Now, not only does this bull come from a deep pedigree, but he actually does offer some type of genomic information for further verification of his potential success. And that on the Canadian system would be 14 confirmation, 11 mammary system, 12 for feet and legs, and 10 for dairy strength. So how did CMAX do in some of the other categories that we like to look at? We had 9 of the top 10 or 30 of the top 50 LPI sires, and 9 of the top 10 or 34 of the top 50 Pro Dollar sires. That means we had 60% of the top LPI sires and 68% of the top Pro Dollar sires. So if you are looking for Canadian genetics that are key on the main indexes that people look for within Canada, anywhere throughout the world, CMAX can easily be your one-stop shop for that type of genetics. And some of those sires would be Contour, Devour, Caspian, Latitude, and Honeydew. And Devour, Latitude, and Honeydew are new sires since this last proof round. So we're definitely bringing new genetics forward on these indexes to make sure we are refreshing what people are looking for. Landcrest Contour is the #1 GPA, LPI, and Pro Dollar sire within Canada. It was impressive to see him continue to maintain this position through all the changes that happened with the LPI formula this last round. So he's been the #1 ever since he was debuted, I think a little over a year ago now, but he continues to make the animals people are looking for. 4 of the top 10 JPI sires on the historical list also call CMAX home. That's a very nice accomplishment for us as we continue to push for bulls that are sought after within the US market or on a global level that are bred off of the US base. And CMAX is also proud to have the #1 JPI active sire that's 4-generation count or higher. That's Vieira Tenpenny, and we'll cover him in a little bit here. Since the last proof, we've released 15 new sires. So that's a very good number for us as we continue to offer different genetics and bring different types of bulls forward. So a new type of concept that I was thinking about would be like a winner's circle. Who did really well this last proof that should probably get a little extra attention? And when working on this, I realized that we actually talked about these bulls last proof cycle as well. So Tenpenny, Kusafari, and Clapton all went up this proof cycle. Tenpenny went up 8 JPI points to 159. Kusafari went up 7 to 125, and Clapton went up 8 to 133. So in the past two proofs, Tenpenny has gone up 20 total JPI points, Kusafari has gone up 17, and Clapton has gone up 12. So the question would be, why are these bulls going up? What makes them so intriguing for this type of increase? And that's because all three of these bulls are coming out of sires that are proven now and have daughters in the pipelines. So that tends to make a very large difference on bulls as you get more information in. Some go up, some go down, and these are examples of bulls because of their sires that are continuously going up. So Tenpenny sire is Progenesis completely, so from the Progenesis breeding program, had 14 daughters on his last group, and now he has 267 daughters, bringing his reliability to 96%. Kusafari's sire, Kalahari, went from 36 to 130 to now 196 daughters within the past three proofs, so now he is at 96% reliability. Clapton's sire, Progenesis Skylar, had 14 daughters on this proof, and this is his first proof, so we expect more within the next round. That does bring his reliability up to 88% though. So as we continue to add more information, it looks to be very favorable, and it looks like they're outperforming the genetic predictions of their sires, helping these bulls continuously go up. Vieira Tenpenny. So without delay, the #1 sire in the industry today. That is 4-generation count or higher. He is a completely out of a list also. Two stacks of a C-Max bloodlines right there. He's a fast start sire that's A2A2, and he's also available in sex semen. 159 GJPI, 574 cheese merit, and it's also astonishing that he's 1,752 pounds milk. Now this JPI formula tends to not favor animals that are as high in fluid production because of the milk density trait that's within the index. So therefore it's trying to push for more component style. But this bull does excel within those categories as well at 125 combined fat and protein, making him continuously push forward. And he is a pure sire. Immunity Plus has been an area that we've been very proud of, and we've definitely pushed to move the bulls in this type of category for the benefits that it has long-term within a dairy. We had 4 new Immunity Plus sires that are available today. That's Grand Slam, Popcorn PP, so the new homozygous fold bull, Drop Time, and Gauge. And then now the nice part of this is the wide variety of sire stacks within this, so you are getting a diverse group. It's not narrowing any bloodlines down, potentially one area or another. But also you're getting some bulls that have done quite well. For instance, I just mentioned Clapton going up 2 proofs in a row. So you're getting the Immunity Plus within him and the solidity within his proof profile. So thank you.
Great, Jacob, and thank you for that, and thank you, Mike. We do have a few questions, and I've answered some, and so I'm going to share some of those ones that I have answered since, and just so everybody can share within the answer. And so if you do have any other questions, please send them through while we're going through them. But one for you, Mike, is what is the main characteristic seen in alligator daughters? Is the question.
Yeah, it's a question we get asked fairly regularly, Jay. We're seeing great things from alligator in the way his cows are developing into their second lactation, and we're seeing even better calves hit the ground now. Alligator is a bull that most people would expect to be, based on his pedigree, you think, well, we're going to see high pins and straight legs. It's not the case at all with this bull. He's a bull that does a good job on his rumps. He adds actually a bit of curve to those legs. But he's also a bull that sires a great amount of width and capacity to their mammary. They've got great crease and quality in their udders. And these are cows with great dairy strength and angularity about them. Really, he's got all the parts that put together that you would expect of a high type profile bull. And now we're seeing the calves hit the ground here, and and we're seeing stuff on social media and calves we're seeing in barns that are really fancy calves. So it's great to see him hold that high type profile.
Okay, great. And this is also on bulls, and I answered this, and I'm going to share my answer and then hand off to you, Mike, on it as well, just because. But what the mention was on the Lighthouse Alcove and Yamaska, and that they've sold well in the UK and all over the world. They've, the daughters have come through extremely well, everywhere. The concern is related to the milking speed, that their milking speed has fallen down a little bit, and so I guess the question just is, how do we address those parts? And so I did mention, Mike, that in my response was that all bulls have weaknesses, obviously, or it's pretty hard to find one without one. I think you always try to balance that for customers that really want to make sure they protect milking speed. You put thresholds on selection to try to protect them from milking speed. Sometimes proofs change. We wish all predictions of when they were genomic bulls held, and for the most part they do, but sometimes you get some surprises, and and it's concerning if some bulls fall for that, and especially if they see it in the daughters, that there's some milking speed issue if the proof goes, but is it a problem in the field or not? But I think it's just where you manage diversity in bull selection, try to protect it as much as you can, so that if a one bull fell, hopefully the bulls that you've managed as packages for some trait that was critically important to do. I was wondering, Mike, if you have any thoughts to it, because milking speed is one we do pay quite a bit of attention to in our selection process.
Yeah, that's a trait we talk about every week, AJ, and it's certainly a big part of the bulls that we're taking for the next generation. And I think you've said it right. No bull's perfect, and they've all got some weaknesses. I think when you get a weakness like this, it's there on paper, and it's also all about the data that goes into it and generates that number. I think when you get a trait like this, you hope they make up for it strongly on something else. And just this morning I was on a call with someone from a country that was a big user of this bull, of the Yamaska bull. And they're very happy with the performance, the production levels, the way they look, their fertility. So it's all about balance and hoping they make up in some other strengths for that weakness. We can't hide that weakness of milking speed. It's right there on paper, and it's like you say, it's just something I think that we've got to pay attention to and be attentive to. We have all these traits for a reason, to make us better, and just use that to your advantage in the way you made them.
And alligator semen, is it available, or is the one question we have?
Yeah, the thing with alligator is obviously it's a supply and demand issue when he's producing. Alligator was off production for a short period of time. We look forward to having him available in the near future globally again.
Okay, and I had a question on Alcove. He's got a MACE LPI? Yeah. And when will he get a Canadian proof in August, or what's the part behind a Canadian proof on Alcove?
So for Canadian proof, as you guys know, they have to have the 20 daughters in enough different herds over 120 days in production. And leading up to proofs, I actually thought Alcove had enough, that he was in that. I think he was around 22 or 23 daughters in enough herds over 120 days. He obviously had a daughter or two that was had a test day that was eliminated, or for one reason or another, and because of that he fell just short of getting a full Canadian proof. He had daughters from another country come in and benefit him to get a MACE proof. So he will for sure get one in August. If we reran proofs next month, he'd have enough information, I'm sure, then. But he was just a hair short of getting an official Canadian proof.
And to share some questions that were done, and I answered just for the others, is one question was about the adjustment for stature, and does it mean that a bull with a good udder, let's say a +10, might now become +8 because he's too high stature? And I would answer that with, well, depending the stature we're talking about here, but yes, that's exactly right. What we're talking about is the relationship between stature and mammary system indicates that there is a little bit of a fundamental bias in the system, that females that tended to be high stature tended to receive a little bit more benefit of the doubt in their mammary scoring. And a female that tended to be low stature had a tough time getting a high score on mammary system. So there's maybe a fundamental inherent part that has a little bit of stature component in that we're trying to remove, so mammary system is independent of stature. So net effect of that is exactly that. So that is the one answer. We did have a question about IMAX and him showing through on his high feed efficiency, and the question was related to inbreeding increases and it becoming harder to avoidable, like mogul bloodlines, and so the concern was related to inbreeding and these kind of bulls. So it was a little bit, not related to feed efficiency per se, but seeing a bull like that be so dominant in the feed efficiency ranking, and then that maybe being a bull, where do you use them? So, I mean, I think it's a great question. For me, I have thoughts on inbreeding, and as an industry, that the inbreeding level is where it is, and it's not going to go down. And the question is, how detrimental is it in the farm, in the animals that they have, in terms of things they see to the negative? And I think we need to start rethinking a bit about inbreeding and what we have. We should start thinking about two measures. One that is close-up relationship, that can be detrimental in breeding. In other words, we're mating an animal that's closely related in the close-up pedigree. And then the other one of inbreeding is actually an accumulation of historical inbreeding. And that typically is a little more actually the positive part of inbreeding. It might put the number bigger and you go and look at it and say, oh, that's got a high inbreeding coefficient. But the reality is it's probably been inbreeding that's been over years of selection. Actually, it's been to the desired side, the fixing of the traits that are to the desired side. So I think there is something that, as an industry, we maybe need to come to terms with understanding how to manage inbreeding in that way to avoid the close-ups, but not be so scared by the historical inbreeding that is within the population that is likely positive. For feed efficiency, just to say, if we want to improve feed efficiency, they're not all IMAXs, obviously. So there's all kinds of bulls that will offer different pedigree blends that you can improve feed efficiency if that's a trait you're aiming for, and avoid close-up matings that are related to animals in terms of improving that trait going forward. One question we had was about the negative correlation, which was shown with mammary system composite and rear teat placement. And the question was that negative correlation? I believe the negative correlation was minus 0.11. And was that to the close side or to the wide side? So the answer to that for people is a negative correlation between mammary and rear teat placement is to the wide side. So selection for mammary system, if it has any effect, it's only a minus 0.11, but the tendency would be that it would push the rear teats outward. So it's not, it would be, the negative correlation would be to the out. So, and the person that asked this also replied that this is good, that the population tends to be a little too close in the population. And so if mammary system is tending to at least work slightly against that, then that's the way. And one other one was, the question was whether we'll ever release the weightings for are they going to release the weightings on the linear traits that make up the composites? And so I think it should be shared with people so they know that it's not that there's hidden things. It's a little bit of how they're doing it, and they're building the composites like they build Pro Dollar in Canada. And what that is, it's on response rather than waiting. And so what response means, it takes into account the correlation between the traits. And many of, for example, the memory traits are correlated to one another. So they build the best prediction, taking into account all the responses, and they build these by equations and things like what we would call quadratic that end up like an ideal curve on every trait. So it's very hard to take those results and try to decipher them to weightings. So what it's doing is trying to find the best prediction of those traits. So to help people understand what the makeup is, we asked for that graphic that I showed on that one slide. That was the graphic that shows the correlation between memory system and the linears. Because what you want to know is, if I select for memory system, what am I selecting for? And what you saw there was, well, fore attachment, rear height, outer depth, outer texture, and it shows you the relationship that's there. And that, I think, is the best way for us to understand without necessarily knowing the weightings of calculation that would be, just because it would be, virtually impossible to calculate those. So that is all the questions I have there. So with that, I think we'd like to close up our proof week, and we want to thank everyone for attention on the webinar. And again, the nice thing is now we have all these exciting bulls and all these great genetics to use going forward. So with that, Mike, do you have any closing words to close up?
No, I think like you said, Jay, it's been an exciting week. We touched on some great proof changes that I think are all in the right direction. They've got our breeders in mind in those changes, and we're seeing great results come through in the 2 breeds that Jacob and I talked about, and success in other breeds as well. We've highlighted some great results. We look forward to doing more of these presentations and seeing that next generation turn into proven bulls, and hopefully achieve success for all of you and your herds at home. Just want to thank you for your time and being here today, and your attention and faith in CMEX as well.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.